Sorry, check magnate. Okay, thanks, Allison. Appreciate your confirming. So, hello, everybody. Again, my apologies for the issue there. Everything was literally, it's so weird. I'm not sure if it's StreamYard or me, but like literally everything, I tested everything 5 minutes ago and it was absolutely perfect, like just perfect. Not a single bit of freezing, nothing, no issues at all. And then all of a sudden you go live and it's like, it's a different story. It's crazy. It's like you can't predict it. But anyway, my apologies, but hope you all are having a good day. It's been a crazy rough week for a lot of us. Last few weeks, I should say. It's my situation has been upended in many ways, and I know some of you have reached out, and I want to reach out to many of you to talk about what's going on in your lives too. And I'm sorry I haven't been able to get back to all of you. It's just been nonstop. Literally, I was just telling somebody, my yesterday literally started at 3 a.m. Not 3 a.m. this morning, but 3 a.m. yesterday morning. And it didn't end till like 10:30 that night. So it was just, the kids are living with me now, pretty much next to full time. And it's not the legal stuff isn't over by a long shot. It's just some incidentals occurred that changed my situation. So they're sleeping here now. They're eating breakfast every day. They're with me a lot more, and which is great, because I can keep them safe, but it's also a lot more responsibility, etc. A lot more time. And of course, when it's just a simple issue like your kids are sick at night, and it's only you're a single dad, you're the one that takes care of them, right? You're the one that makes sure that they're okay. So it's been a lot. It's been an interesting situation. I'm literally many nights working only about 2 or 3 hours sleep max. It's been that way for about 2 weeks. The kids have had like the flu and pneumonia and rhinovirus. I'm surprised I haven't gotten anything yet. My little boy Ethan, when he was sleeping with me the other night, he just couldn't stop coughing and sneezing. So he's like, "Daddy, I want to sleep with you." So he comes in my bed at like 2 a.m. and he's there for pretty much the rest of the night. But he just sneezed in my face 30, 40 times. Try to get him to stop, but it just happens. They're at that age. But it's like, wow, I'm surprised I'm not sick yet. But anyway, I'm here. I'm alive. Got my coffee. Feel free to grab yours if you want to. What kind of coffee y'all make? I usually make like a latte if I can. Make up some milk and some espresso. But wanted to talk basically about a couple things today. Thank you so much, Ali Bree. Really appreciate that. Yeah, it's been so good, and they've been talking about how they love it. They're so glad to be here. They've said that consistently. They're so glad it's working out this way, and they don't want it to change. So, hoping I can find ways to make it more permanent. So, I talked before about how I'm changing my channel a little bit in terms of the way I'm doing things on the back end, in terms of the live streams versus monologues that are going to be coming out a lot more. And the monologues, I'm excited about in many ways what I'm doing with them. But at the same time, there's a lot of changes, and I'm trying to figure out not as much like particular projects, like to say I want to work on this project, but to say, how are you working on projects? What is your workflow like? And that was a big deal for me when I was in the corporate world. In many ways, the whole Six Sigma kind of stuff, it's not saying what are you doing, it's how are you doing it? Are you making good decisions? And I've been experimenting with a bunch of different things behind the scenes, and I'm excited because I've seen some things where like, yeah, it looks like it'll work, and then it doesn't. So long story short, I think I've eliminated some ways in which I'm not going to do it, but I've also made some strides in ways I'm going to do it. One of those ways that's going to change a little bit is I thought, what a great thing to do when I think about a monologue that I want to work on. And let's say I work on it for a week or two or a month, and then you see it. That why not do a live stream about that topic in advance, so that we can maybe have the option to talk about that topic as a community, and so I can kind of get some feedback from you all that I can incorporate. And in that way, number one, of course, it helps me a little bit, gives me some ideas to chew on, but also it becomes a lot more reflective of what's actually on your hearts too. That there is a sense in which you all have become my community. You all have a lot of great ideas and things like that have become a big piece of my heart and my life. And I love to dream about making this more of a community effort. So what I'm going to talk about today is going to become a live stream shortly, but it's the question of in what ways did Christianity break your heart? So that topic is near and dear to me. I've been actually working on the script for that monologue for a while. It's amazing to me. There's just so many things, so many topics like that. There is just so much to say. And some of those you end up having to just decide, all right, well, I'm going to have to cut some stuff out, or I'm going to have to make it into 2 or 3 parts. But, you just have to do your best. So I wanted to ask you, if you could, what are some of the ways that Christianity broke your heart? And basically, my hope is to incorporate what you share, some of your ideas, and I'll certainly expand on them in my monologue. But just kind of say what was it about Christianity that when you looked back at it, when you're at your last days of being in the faith, that you'd say, holy smokes, this thing isn't just wrong. It's not just mythology, but this has really hurt me. And not just like, and I'm not talking about religious trauma, although that's a part of it. I'm talking a little bit more about just the overall emotional, psychological dynamics of this was like Christianity, and more specifically, the people, the personhood of the Godhead, Yahweh and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. These were the lovers of your soul. These were your best friends. This was your whole life. This was your everything. Salvation was everything. The gospel is everything. So what did it do to you when you realized, wow, this isn't real? This isn't real. This can't be real. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that. And I'm going to basically share some thoughts and bring up some chats. So I did want to read here. It looks like there was one that came in earlier that I skipped as I was trying to work through my technical issues. Stephen Bolin says, it broke my faith in humanity. Yeah, that's a great one, Stephen. And by the way, for everyone that's not aware of Stephen, Stephen and I definitely will be reaching out to you, but Stephen is going through an exceptionally hard time right now. So if anyone, is already friends with Stephen, if you're not, be friends with Stephen. But Stephen really needs our encouragement on a lot of levels. Stephen's just facing a lot of uphill battles, and he's recently lost his dogs. And very sorry about that, Stephen. Again, I had the same thing happen earlier this year after our dog of 12 or 13 years had to pass away. But Stephen's going through some other, things that are just, it's like so many of you have told me, it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. But I feel like in Stephen's case, what I know about your situation is like 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. And we need to encourage Stephen. Stephen needs to know that we care about him. So I hope that those of you that are friends with him are reaching out to him and just checking in with him. And Stephen, I certainly want to do the same. I've just, again, I've barely had a minute to myself with the kids in my lap, so to speak. It's been great to be with them, but it's also been hard to catch up with everybody. But yeah, it broke your faith in humanity. And Stephen, feel free if you want to expand on that. But the idea of it breaking your faith in humanity, you realize, a couple things come to mind. And again, Stephen, feel free to add if you want to clarify some things. But when I first think of it, breaks your heart in humanity, number one, it just breaks your heart in humanity, that it breaks your faith in humanity, that you're not able to trust so many people. You can't trust that they're telling you the truth, or that they have your best interest at heart. You can't trust that they're going to be your friends if you change your mind about certain positions, certain worldview or belief statements that you're just like, I don't subscribe to that anymore. How are they going to treat you? The fact that, like with Christian nationalism and all the Trump stuff going on, that you look at the faith in humanity and your own neighbors, where you're like, you all literally are going to, destroy our country, and you're going to do it proudly. You're going to do it unabashedly. You should be ashamed of yourselves, and yet you're proud of yourselves. And endless issues like that. I think too, just the idea, the generic picture of zooming in on their faith, where you're like, really, like this is the best that humans can do, is to do blood magic. And once we introduce blood magic, like that's where we land for 2, 3, 4,000 years. Like, really, that's the best we can do. What a crazy situation, Yeah, there's a lot to that. Anne-Marie says, good day, chat family. Tim, thank you so much, Anne-Marie. Great to see you. Thank you so much for being a part of our family. Really appreciate your joining when you can. Ellie Bree says, it breaks my heart every day that Christianity still has my family captive. It breaks my heart to know that my mother has a relationship with Yahweh. I know pain and I want better for my family members. Yeah, that's a great way to put it, Ellie. The fact that it's going to literally take their lives. Like they're literally never going to live a day in their lives. They're going to be stuck in this. Many of them will. Like, despite our best efforts and or our best hopes for them, we just know that some of them, especially at the ages that they're at, the sunk cost issue as well. Like they've given 60, 70 years of their lives to this thing. Like they're going to really break ties now. Now, when they're likely in their last 10, 20, 25 years of their lives, they've given arguably 60, 70, 80% of their lives to this thing. And to finally say, nah, I was wrong and my life has been a waste and I've been talking to the wall. We know that that sunk cost fallacy is going to kick in high gear. Like, no, I can't give up now. I need to double down. I need to double down. I have to double down. This has to be real. This has to be the right path. And it's not. And they don't have to live their last days of their lives that way, but they're going to. It breaks our hearts. And the fact that they see us through that grid is not just that they want to believe, it's that they see us through that grid. They see us through the grid of like, you're a bad person and you're erroneous in your most profound aspects of your worldview. You are an enemy of the truth. Like, no, I'm not an enemy of the truth. I love the truth. I pursue it every day. I do my best in every which way, but I just don't think this is real. It's very, very sad. Very, very sad. David B says, I'm 76. Every minute of every day is pain. The pain is there. Yeah. David, that's a hard situation. It's a very hard situation when you look back at it and you think how much time we wasted. I wasted 43 years of my life on it, and I'm trying to redeem it. But still, despite the redemption aspect of it that does play a part in my healing, I still remember decades of doing this stuff, decades of this being a part of my life. And I ache for it. I ache for better days, and I ache for a way to undo the damage and to wonder who I could have been without this thing. Who could I have been if this hadn't been the case? And in many ways, a lot of that is the self-love. I heard something the other day that really helped me. What was it? It was, let me get the actual phrase. When you love yourself, you find yourself. I'm not sure who said that, but when you love yourself, you find yourself. And in many ways, many of us didn't love ourselves for so long, so we had no way of finding ourselves. Yeah, it's very real. Yeah, absolutely. Stay strong, Stephen. Jean says, my Christianity sadly taught me to judge. I'm going to heaven, you're going to hell. Yeah, for sure. That is a very big piece of it. The way it breaks our hearts because it made us into judgmental jerks, a lot of us. And even if we didn't say it, we were thinking it for a lot of levels. People that we should have been affirming and caring about, and just saying your sexuality, for example, is your story. It's not mine. It's none of my damn business, but I'm gonna care about you, and I'm not going to oppress you either passively or actively. And instead we were judging people and in our minds saying you deserve the judgment of God, both now and in the afterlife, which is crazy to think about the monsters that it turned us into. See here, Brianna. Brianna, great to see you here. Thank you so much. It was unsettling to know that everyone is being deceived. You want to believe truth and goodness win, but they don't. Yeah, that's a great point, Brianna. Very great point. You feel so brokenhearted that these people are literally giving their lives to mythology. They're just en masse. I mean, millions of people, billions of people today and throughout history, they're giving their lives to this mass deception, and their brains are basically being shut down by the party line. And it's horrible. It's a horrible thing to realize. It really does break your heart. Ravine Hawk, when I realized that Christians do not actually follow Jesus' teachings, but are more interested in making money for the church and themselves. Yeah, that's a very good point. I think there are certainly some people in the mix that are very, very real, where they do not care about making money. They just want to give their lives away. I would argue that I was one of them. I had no sense of no path to make money as a Christian, as a missionary. In many ways, I wanted to just give my life away. There was no outcome of mine as a Christian that would have landed me as wealth of any kind. But there are a lot of people where that is the case. I think you certainly could argue the Catholic Church for sure, but there's also a lot of evangelical Protestant churches that are falling in that category, especially the mega churches and the mega church leadership. And it's so sad. I think also just realizing that many Christians are basically just cherry picking and making up their own version of Christianity. I know this isn't what you wrote, but just to piggyback off of it, they're not following Jesus's teachings. They're following a few of Jesus's teachings. They're picking the ones that they want, and that's, you realize you're making up a new religion, and the next generation is going to delete some of the ones that you picked, and they're going to pick different ones. And the way the wind flows, whatever the way the wind blows culturally. So let me take a quick sip here. By the way, you can't see it, but I love when you can make coffee. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. I love when you can make coffee and you see the layers. Do you want to do that? It's so cool. I've got a picture here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, let's see if that comes up for you. That's what she said. Can you all see that? I took that picture. That's me. But I love doing that. I love where you can get the different layers, the foam. Anyway, let's see here. David says PTSD aspects and regrets at destroying every family relationship, directly and indirectly. It ruined their lives too. Yeah, that's a great point, David. The PTSD aspects of this, the ways that this basically was like going through a psychological war, and you realize that the greatest battles you're going to face in many ways are in your mind. They always have been. That's what Christians would have said, of course. The greatest battles against sin and the devil, against worldliness and fleshliness and arrogance and pride, they're all battles of your mind. But it is a true statement that the greatest battles are in your mind. But this thing, the Christianity is the great destroyer. It destroys your mindset. It destroys your well-being. Makes you think that there's some God with whom you have to do, to whom you are accountable, and to whom you are absolutely not accountable. He's just not there. So it ruined their lives, yeah. And the PTSD, I think, of saying I'm a wicked person and I should be ashamed of myself. So it's a hard thing to pull yourself out of. It's a very deep pit. The longer you're in it, the deeper you dig that pit. Zach, this election has broken my trust in my fellow citizens. No, you're definitely not off topic, Zach. I completely agree. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more work on that topic soon on my other channel, The First Atheist President. But yeah, there's a lot there, a lot to unpack there. Yeah, Stephen, no worries. I know it's a very long story. And I definitely don't want to try to ask you to put all your dirty laundry out there and so forth, all your things. But feel free to share whatever you do feel like is appropriate to. But just know that in general, we care about you and we so appreciate who you are. And we really do wish good things for you. But I'll be in touch as soon as I can as well. But just in terms of speaking, hopefully on behalf of the community and representing us well, we care about you, we love you, we appreciate you, and we're so sorry for the things that have been knocking you down. We hope that the rest of this year is showing some signs of life for all of us, and hopefully 2025 we'll see. Although I know the Trump thing is a big overshadowing, but we're gonna fight. We're gonna take the darkness and we're gonna shine a lot of light out there and hopefully make some big differences. Shell says, when I realized it wasn't real, I was terrified because I didn't know what that meant, and if I was wrong, I was going to burn forever. Yeah, it's a great point. That's one of the biggest things that Christianity does, is it tells you that you can't leave. You can't leave. Like, if you try to leave, number one, to who else will you go? I alone have the words of life. But then also to realize that the fear of hell is going to linger for a lot of us. And also the idea of like, well, then what is life for? If life isn't about Jesus and God and heaven and the glories of the gospel and salvation, like, then what the hell is it about? And you're like, it's not about anything. It's never been. You're an animal. Your life is about surviving and reproducing and trying to live another day and not get eaten by a predator, a large predator or a bacteria, trying to survive. Obviously for us, we've made it into more than that. Because our consciousness has made us much more, almost like, our consciousness is like a form of AI, and it's like we're thinking for ourselves now, but we're just, we're the way that it teaches you that and leaves you saying, Well, if this is not real, then there's nothing to live for. Like, that was never part of the equation. They tricked you. They deceived you. It's so sad. Allison, Stephen, I hope you can adopt another dog. I did, and we both rescued each other. Oh, that's awesome, Allison. I love that. That's so cool. Yeah, I'm hoping to someday get another dog for my kids. Now's not the time for any extra expenses. Everything goes, to the situation for protecting my kids with the custody. But someday when things settle down, hopefully we'll be looking at that. Can't wait for that to cross that bridge. See here, Allie Bree. Knowing my grandmother died brokenhearted, that I'm an atheist, and most likely she was secretly confident that God would prevail and I would get back on the right path. Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a very big deal. A lot of us have this sense of the Christians just know that they're right, and they know that someday you'll come begging for God to forgive you. To just come begging, you're like, He's not there. I can't come back and beg my way back. And I'm so sorry. I blasphemed you. I'm so sorry. I ignored you, God. He's not freaking there. He's not there. Ugh. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. So the other day, a friend of mine had posted something on Facebook, just on her own personal channel, and just about how happy she was to have left Christianity. And I just wrote back something, I posted a comment, I'm so glad you escaped as well. And a friend of hers who was a Christian saw my comment and said something like, wow, I'm so sorry for whatever happened to you. I'm so sorry for how you got hurt. Meaning, I guess, by the church or life. But it's like, they have no scope for the imagination that your God isn't real. He's not there. Like, yeah, we can be angry at the church and at certain aspects of what's happened in our lives. That does not make God real or not real. That has nothing to do with it. Whether we've had an easy life in church or a hard life in church, that does not address the truth claims of Christianity. It's not a reason to stay in Christianity or to leave Christianity. Your experience is irrelevant. The question is, are the truth claims accurate? Are they real? Are these describing reality, or are they just mythology? And I think we know the answer to that one. Hey, Mim, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you being here. Hey, Susanna, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you coming. It's free now. Can't get here quick enough. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your presence. Derek says, Christianity took my past relationship with my mom when I used to be in my faith. Now it took my current relationship with mom, as we have even less in common now. Yeah, Derek, that is so sad and definitely something I've heard variations of before. It really does. It breaks your heart because your relationships just cannot be normal. They can never be normal because of this. They just can't. And you wish so much, but you realize in many ways that, number one, you're much more of a loner in this life than you ever thought you were. The community you thought you had, you don't really have. And you, in many ways, have to start over and hit the reset button. And that can be scary as hell. I've gone through enough stuff in my life, enough losses on various levels, that I got used to the idea. For example, I'd been married once before. I was married. It was literally for like a day. I met a girl in a mission field. She's from England, and got proposed on the Eiffel Tower in Paris. A few months later, got married a year later, and literally during the wedding photos, like she turned into a monster, and it was over immediately. And it was just one of the craziest situations, and my church blamed me for it. And it was like, oh my God, like, what is this? And my church, that I'd grown up in the church, and they raised me as a child, and I eventually raised their children, so to speak, as a teacher and youth group leader. They loved me for 20 years. And all of a sudden, because of this weird situation with this girl from England, they all turned their back on me. This church that I thought was going to be my lifeline. And then I think I've told you all about the story where many years later, I was engaged to a girl from down in Florida, and it was awesome. We dated for 12 months, and we were going to get married 6 months later, got engaged. It was just wonderful. And she told everybody, like, look, Tim treats me better than I've ever been treated. Even my own parents don't treat me like Tim. Like, he's treats me so well. And we were a month away from the wedding. And I came home from work one day to an email that just said, I'm ending everything immediately. Don't bother calling. I will not pick up. And neither will my family or my friends. And I thought, what the hell did I do? Like, what? And I even had a few people that were like, did you do something abusive? And what in the world? And I was like, no, I know I didn't. I didn't do anything. I've treated her right. She said that to the marriage counselor like 3 days ago. She's like, he treats me so well. I can't wait to marry him. And a month later, she married someone else. That she went the day she was going to marry me, she married somebody else. And so I say all that just, it's not to say it as a sob story, but to say I've been through enough where I've had people where they were safe and they were my world and they were my everything and my world for 20 years. And all of a sudden they wouldn't talk to me. I've had people who were, they were my new life, as it were, for 12 and then 18 months. And then they walked away at the last minute and married someone else, probably double dating, double courtship, whatever. But when you get enough losses like that stacked up, you're like, I don't expect anybody to stay. I just don't. I don't expect anybody to stay. And you depend on yourself. But in many ways, that jaded place to be in life is so heartbreaking, where you're like, that's the reality of it. I am alone, but I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel sarcastic or cynical or jaded about life. I want to feel hopeful. And yeah, it's hard. And when you look at your relationship with your parents, you're just like, I want that to be safe. I want it to be a place where I can go and we can just be real, be humans about it, care about each other's human journey, and also care about each other as blood, with our blood tie. And for so many people, it's like, it doesn't matter what you've been through, whether you're tied by blood, it's not going to add up. It's hard. So hard. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, we'll get there with the kids, for sure. All the lies, deception, indoctrination. Yeah, Joyce, that's a great point. Christianity breaks our hearts because we realize we've been deceived, and we've been deceiving ourselves. We've been deceiving other people. We've been indoctrinated, and nobody gave us even a remote clue or heads up about maybe there's more to this story. The other day I was looking at a Facebook page of a church not too far from here, about 15 minutes away. And it's pretty typical for an evangelical Protestant church, very seeker sensitive, very, we've got all these programs and our worship is, fun and upbeat and just sort of the kind of place where if you love the Bible and you love community and you love Jesus and you love worship songs, you're probably going to do just fine there. And looking at all those pictures of these kids, these teenagers growing up, seeing pictures of the mantras of this from the sermon notes on the screen, and you just feel like there's hundreds of people in this one church up the street, just hundreds of people in this one church. And you think you all are being fed a truckload of lies. And these kids don't know any different. And then maybe never will. It's horrible. It's horrible. And they're obviously someday going to become voters. Ugh. Wait a minute, what? It's a great handle. It honestly felt like I was drowning, crying for help, while the God I was crying to stood on the shore with a life preserver just watching me suffer. Yeah, I love that. And by the way, I so appreciate the poetic nature of what you just said. It is so critical, I think, to say not just what happened in an intellectual sense, but to bring out the poetry part of it, the verbal color, the verbal storytelling. Bring it out, bring out the pain, bring out song lyrics and poetry. I love it. The metaphors. And yeah, that's a great metaphor. Great metaphors or great simile. It really does. Feels like God's just standing there. And then you realize it's almost like a double whammy, because you're like, God, what the hell? Why won't you help me? Why won't you come in and save the day? Aren't you the savior? So save me. And then nothing happens. And eventually you're like realizing that broke my heart. But then later you're like, oh, it broke my heart because he wasn't even there. And it just, the double whammies just stack up. Panda 1869 says, I married into an IBLP family and went through the basic seminar. It destroyed me. Oh, I'm so sorry. By the way, if you have not reached out to me before to talk about your story, and if you'd like to, feel free to reach out. My Facebook page. I have the business one, the Harmonic Atheist one, but my personal one is, the handle is @HarmonicTim. Please feel free to reach out if we haven't already been in touch, and let me know. If anyone, by the way, has been in touch and is ready to interview, if I haven't responded for few weeks, please feel free to reach out. It's one of my goals next year, if I can call it like a New Year's resolution when I get there, to find a way to catch up quicker on emails. But I'm so far behind at the moment. It's been crazy to try to even think about it. And in many ways, if I tried to, the work that's already kind of slowing down on the channel because of me having the kids all the time, it would slow down immensely to the point of I wouldn't produce any content. So I have to figure out a way to figure out how to balance that act. But yeah, and the IBLP stuff, for anyone that doesn't know that, I didn't go through it the same way that you're talking about. I was exposed to it on the side, so to speak, like I knew about them. And my dad had all the, the character sketches books on his desk. And I definitely understand the concepts of what it does and what Bill Gothard was saying. I had a lot of friends who were in that group and that Christian subculture. And certainly I was exposed, so to speak, as we all were, through the Duggars and other people. But whether you were in it neck deep or you were just exposed to it, that there were all these rules, all these ways that it twisted you and made you into a wicked sinner, certainly distorted your sexuality with purity culture and gender roles, and advanced patriarchy, and so much shame. The guilt and the shame culture was off the charts. But yeah, it's rough. And when you realize, number one, again, that stuff breaks your heart because it destroys your humanity. And then secondarily, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to get away from the bad Christianity, get to the real Christianity. Then you realize, oh shit, there's no real Christianity. This is all mythology. It's like, again, it's piles upon piles of it. Hey, Eric, great to see you. Bertello Studios, making me believe I'd see my loved dead ones again, only to realize it was all a lie. Yeah, that is a great one to bring up. Great in the sense of profound, not great in the sense of a happy thought. It caused me to grieve longer for my dead loved ones when I could have healed and moved on sooner, and Christianity just got in the way. Yeah, great point. When you think you're going to live forever and they're going to live forever, at least the ones that are in Christ, you're going to see them. The relationship's never really ending, and it doesn't have to ever end. And every death is really just a short-term blip on the radar, and the real celebration hasn't even started yet. And then you're like, oh no, none of that's going to happen. That is not my future. It's hard. Allie says, it was heartbreaking to realize that all the adults who raised me, parents, teachers, daycare, youth group leaders, were being deceived and actually didn't have answers to my hard questions. Yeah, that's a great point too. You realize that you can't trust that they really know what they're talking about, because when you bring up issues, they're just like, either I don't know, or go ask somebody else, or they're like, you shouldn't be asking those questions because that's just proving you don't have enough faith. Like, you don't need more information. You need to just trust and obey. There's no other way to be happy in Jesus. Just trust. God's got it. Have more faith. Don't be a doubting Thomas. And you realize you're so stuck in this. You're so brainwashed, and they can't see it. And they're proud of themselves. They're proud of themselves that they can't see it. Eric, again, it sucks. I can't tell a lot of people I'm an atheist because I'm in the movie industry now, and it's a business that's who you know and no, not what you know. Yeah, that is very hard. That is a very hard situation, Eric. And I know we talked before about your story. If it is ever an option to consider it again, I'm open to reopening that discussion. But yeah, if you're in a spot where you have to toe the line and not really tell everybody about your story, that's heartbreaking. That's really heartbreaking. It's like at that point, it's not Christianity. It's more like just the Christian culture and the way it has evolved in our society. Shana, thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you here. What breaks my heart is how incredibly insensitive many of the beliefs actually are when applied to various situations, and telling people stuff that is quite detrimental, not helpful at all. Yeah, that is a great point, Shana. The way that people become so insensitive, and the way that their beliefs, the way they project their beliefs and their worldview on you and on the world and on society, they're so insensitive to who you are, to what you're going through. Everything is just the party line. Like, you just need to believe and everything will be okay. The power of the gospel to transform you and your life, take away your heartache, give you joy down in my heart. And it's like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're just parroting somebody else who parroted somebody else, and you have no idea what life's actually about. It's not helpful at all. It's very detrimental. And at the end of the day, you're wasting your life and you're wasting my time. So sad. The person who converted me actually broke my heart in the end. I loved her with all my heart, but I realized now I meant nothing to her. I was just a project to her, not a person. That's a great point. That is a wonderful point. Yeah, people, and I say this to my own shame. I saw people in many ways that way. I didn't know it. I wouldn't have used those words, but it's what it was. People were projects. They were notches on the belt. We use that phrase colloquially to talk about people you've had sex with, but notches on the belt in terms of salvation. Like, I need to have souls that I can say, I brought that one to heaven. I brought that one to heaven. I got that one closer to God. I got that one more serious about their walk with Christ. You're just a project to each other, and you can't see each other. Yeah. And it breaks your heart. They did not care about you because they couldn't see you. They couldn't see the real you. They just saw you. They saw you as a simple equation, and they needed to balance the equation. You have sin on one side. You have Jesus on the other side, willing to take your sin and fix the problem. Can we put you in that paradigm and get Jesus on the other side of that for you, so your sin issue can be fixed? And they don't know the real you, and they don't want you to know the real you. They think the real you is sinful. They want you to simply get into this worldview and this paradigm, and you're saved, and yay, praise the Lord. God rescued another soul. Let the angels rejoice in heaven. It's like, this is sick. You have lost yourself. If there's a way to sell yourself to the devil, Christianity is it. Christianity is absolutely it. Yep, Stephen, absolutely. If I can find the time at some point, I will. I've seen you saying that to me, or if it's just directed to someone else, I hope they're listening and saw that. More to live for now. We're making our own meaning now. Yeah, that's a great way to put it, Susanna. So much more to live for now. We're living our own lives. We're creating our own meaning. We're rediscovering ourselves. Panda, thank you so much for your super chat. Really appreciate that very much. Appreciate every bit of support. And anyone that wants to support the channel or me or my family situation on a bigger level, all the ways should be beneath this video and every other video that's on my YouTube channel. Appreciate your support. Eric, again, I never told my family that I left the faith, and I left 2 years ago now, but they might have caught on that I don't talk about God anymore. Yeah, and in a lot of ways, a lot of people would just see that as like you're drifting and you become a castaway, as it were. You become Laodicean, you become cold, and you're neither hot nor cold, so God's going to spew you out of his mouth eventually. And just that hope of, you need to be on fire. Don't be a casual Christian. And then you realize that's how they see you, or you're on the slippery slope. You have in some ways backslidden, and you're like, I haven't backslidden. I've graduated. I'm out of here. This stuff is bullshit, and you will never get me stuck in this matrix again. And yeah, they sometimes they catch on a little bit, but for a lot of them, they're not prepared for that conversation. They're not prepared. So, Ninja Skeptic, thank you so much for your super chat. Really appreciate that. Wish I had more money to give. Thanks for the safe place and education that you provide. Does anyone have advice for hell trauma and existential anxiety? Well, that's a good, nice softball there. Easy question. Now, I'm working on some stuff. I will say, certainly stay tuned. As we say to this channel, I'm working on one about existential anxiety. Hell trauma wasn't on my radar, but I'm going to put it on my radar right now. It's something that comes up sort of as a side note, but I'll put it on the list. In terms of, again, thank you for the super chat. In terms of advice for hell trauma, the biggest things I would say, and this is just me, so take it with a grain of salt, take other people's perspectives on this, especially if they're commenting. But my advice for the hell trauma, we'll start with that, is to focus exponentially on the mythology behind Christianity. When you realize that it's using words that were already in existence in Greek mythology, Greek epics, Homer's work, the Iliad and the Odyssey, you literally see them talking about Tartarus. Also, go back to the Book of Enoch, realize that they were talking about a lot of this was related to the ways that God was going to punish the Watchers. That, hell was in many ways an evolution of this concept, but that there were bad angels who decided to come down to from heaven and have sex with human women and create giants. and that God, what they eventually repented, as it were, and they begged God to please, let them back in heaven, please forgive them. And God said, absolutely no, screw you. You will burn forever. You bleep, 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 bleeps. And they basically became as it were, the castaways, the demons. And he's basically like, look, you all screwed humanity. I took care of the killing the giants in the flood. But there's hell to pay. You literally will be, I'm going to cast you all into hell. And those concepts of there's hell for these bad angels, and you mix that with Zoroastrianism, with their sense of God will eventually come and just burn everything up, and only the good stuff will remain, kind of like a fire burning silver. If there's silver, but it's got some, weird, if you had like silver, but it had like wood chips or something in it, the wood chips are going to burn up because it's going to be so hot, but the silver and the gold will remain. What silver and gold do you have in your soul? They will remain, that God can redeem. You weave that together with the Second Temple Judaism aspects of what their culture was going through and the syncretism, and you get the hell of the New Testament, the hell stories of the New Testament. I would recommend, and I'll put it in chat here if I can find it real quickly. There's a video on YouTube by a guy named Bill Zercher, and it is called Seeing Through Christianity. I'll put it here in the chat. But I highly recommend that. That will deal with giving you a overview, a high level overview of some of the mythology behind Christianity. Existential anxiety. I can't go into it. I can't do it justice, put it that way, in the next 30 seconds. But I will just say that one of the things I like to do is to remember that the anxiety is there because of something they promised you and described to you that was never there. And that if they'd never said it, you would have never felt like you lost it. In other words, if you had never grown up with this, you never thought there was a Yahweh and a Jesus and an afterlife and a heaven and a hell. If you had just grown up from day one thinking, I just have a life. I have one life to live. I'm an evolved animal. And I'm a very evolved animal, and this is amazing how our consciousness has gotten us here. But at the end of the day, I'm just an evolved animal, and there's nothing special about the monkeys. There's nothing special about the lions or the other animals that have evolved, and there's nothing special about the fish. There's nothing special about me. I'm just one in a long chain of animals. And my life may mean something to me, but it doesn't actually mean something. There's no meaning or purpose to life. This is arbitrary. This is accidental. And if you knew that your whole life, you wouldn't grow up thinking, oh my God, I've got to do this and earn heaven rewards in heaven. I need to get people to get into the kingdom. You wouldn't have wondered anything about that. You would have just said, I just want to live. I just want to figure out what's the best life. And for me, I think arguably most of our society that's I would consider praiseworthy and worth following are the people who would simply say, the best life ever for us and the best purpose we can have is to love people, to create safety for people, to love and accept people, to help people be free to live their own lives with their own autonomy, without punishment or fear, and to seek their best. And the people that kind of live that messaging, they're my friends, they're my family, they're the people that I want to surround myself with. And so, if you had lived your whole life that way, and you just said, I'm just here to leave this planet better than I found it. I'm just here to love on people. And when my time is up, I just want to look back and say, I helped an awful lot of people. An awful lot of people would have been a lot more lonely without me. They would have been alone, and arguably even some of them dead earlier. They would have been unhealthy. They would have felt uncared for, unloved. There would have been so much more tears. And I spread love and smiles and laughter. Does it ultimately matter? I highly doubt it. But does it matter to them? Yeah. Does it matter to me? Yeah. So that's how I see it. The existential anxiety, though, of wishing that there was more to this life, that there was more purpose and a plan. It's hard. It's hard. I'm not going to deny that that's a very hard thing to deal with. But at the end of the day, if you never lost it, if you never thought you had it, and then you never lost it, it wouldn't have meant so much. I used the illustration a few weeks ago. If someone had written you a check for $10 billion, and you somehow got really convinced that that person was really that filthy rich, and they really had it, and they didn't, and it was just a bum on the street that found a checkbook and was writing bad checks. But if you knew that they were a bum from day one, it's writing bad checks, you would have been like, thanks, but this doesn't mean anything to me. This doesn't help me, but it doesn't hurt me. It's just a piece of paper. It's basically a blank check. I'm not thinking in any way of cashing this. But when they convince you and convince you and convince you this is real and you will cash this check and your life will get so much easier, you have billions of dollars coming your way momentarily. And then all of a sudden you lose. You're like, what the freaking hell? I thought I had that much money coming my way and I have nothing? You grieve it, but you're grieving something you never actually had. So that's a starting point. I know that's not a great place to end that topic, but that's a starting point. I would start there. But I'll be talking more about that for sure. Thank you again for your super chat, Ninja Skeptic. Mos Leo says, preparing myself for the imminent return of Christ by living a very restricted life, only to find out I was sucked into these beliefs by my own gullibility. I'm glad to have woken up from this matrix. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I love that, Mos Leo. Very, very amazing. And the idea of I can't wait to see my Lord's return. That's a big deal. It's almost like that idea of like and Jesus uses this illustration of like marriage. You're the person that's waiting for you, the wedding supper of the Lamb. You are engaged, and you just can't wait for the virgin to come, and you're going to finally get married and have a wonderful life and beautiful marriage, a beautiful wedding, beautiful everything. And you realize it was never real. These were all just phantoms and ghosts in your mind that someone planted there. Christ isn't coming back. He never could come back. He's just a figment of people's imaginations. And this is truly just glorified children's stories. I mean, not children's stories. They're X-rated children's stories in the Bible, but you know what I mean? Yeah, we were all sucked in by our gullibility. And the fact that they get you when they get you when you're young, there's very little chance to escape. There's very little chance. Children's gullibility is inherent in childhood. It's, they believe what they're told. It's very sad. Focus on the present. Meditation helps with stopping the ruminating. Yeah, it's a great way to put it. I have nightmares and panic attacks several times a week. I don't believe in the Bible, but I'm terrified that I'm wrong. It's not logical, but it won't stop. Yeah, I agree. It isn't logical, but yeah, it won't stop. And I will just say, keep pushing the bad thoughts out, but also replace them with good thoughts. Maybe some of this is not fighting against the darkness, but just surrounding yourself with so much light that you can't help. It just overflows. You get to a point where you're saying, I don't know how to deal with the monsters and the horrible haunting of the Christian worldview that's still there, but it's like, don't think about that elephant in the room. Don't think about it. You're going to think about it. But if you flood yourself with good thoughts, other thoughts, reality, rationality, I think that will take you a longer way away from this bad stuff too. But yeah, the mind can really be used against us, can it? Our own minds kind of fight us in this. That's a big part of this journey too, to me, is like saying, I want my mind to be on my side. I want my mind to be my ally, not my enemy. And that is so hard for a lot of us to get to that point where that is really like front and center. My mind is my ally. My mind is my best friend. My mind is no longer my enemy. The same thing with your body. For a lot of us, it's like, my body is my enemy. You need to be able to say, my body and my mind are on my side. They are my allies. They are my friends. I'm comfortable. I love my mind. I love my thoughts. I love my body. So, yeah. I'm assuming you're referring to my story. Yeah, there's a lot of bad people in this world. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think Christianity is a threat to society. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Anne-Marie, just know hell is not real. Perhaps talking it through with a professional may help. You may have PTSD trauma from hell belief. Hope this helps stay strong. Yeah, a great point, Anne-Marie. PTSD from hell discussions and worldview aspects are very, very a big deal of this. I mean, when you convince someone, even if you didn't think you were on the way to hell, just thinking that hell is real, just thinking I'm probably safe, or I'm definitely safe, but my neighbors are screwed. I've got friends, that family down the street, their 12-year-old son got hit by a car. Bam. I know he was a Catholic, so he's in hell. He was a Buddhist, or he was an atheist. I know he's burning in hell. Like, what in the world? You're teaching kids to see people burning in hell in your mind? You're literally like, you wouldn't let them see a Stephen King movie where the woman, was it Carrie, can just like get angry at people and make them burn up and just, just spontaneously combust. You wouldn't let them watch a Stephen King horror movie because you're a good Christian and that's rated PG-13 or R. But yet you're giving them this R-rated horror story of hell. I mean, come the hell on. You Christians are so sick. They're so sick. Chick Magnate, the thing that I really have a problem with is the idea that we were supposed to be God's hands and feet. We represented him and our actions were credited to him. But when we are hurt by Christians, we can't blame God. Now our actions don't represent him. Yeah, that's a really good point, Chick Magnate. I really appreciate your spelling that out for us. You're supposed to represent him, and certainly everything goes to his glory. All credit to him. Some people were saved, some homeless people got fed, the church got built, yada yada. People dedicated their lives to him. People decided to become missionaries. Praise the Lord, all glory to him. But so and so, the pastor got caught touching that girl behind in his office and doing bad stuff, naughty. I'm like, well, that's not God. That was just a bad pastor. And like every time something bad happens, you can't blame God. You have to just blame people. But everything good is attributed to him. I remember even the Amy Grant song, if there's anything good that happens in life, it's from Jesus. I mean, come on. I know Amy Grant deconstructed a lot, but it's still a lot of bullshit woven into her messaging. Does anyone else find that non-believers are actually far nicer, better people than Christians? Ironic, really. Yeah, I would say by and large, it's not necessarily a truism. And I was actually interviewed by somebody recently. It was not live streamed, but they're editing it and they'll publish it probably next week or two, where we actually started with this idea. And I was saying that I was surprised to find that while what you just wrote is true, that I've still I've come across really, really shitty behavior from atheists. And it just says that it's not really about atheism or Christianity. If you're a jerk as a Christian, you're probably still going to be a jerk when you're out. And if you were a really, really, really loving person and sensitive and caring and kind and safe as a Christian, you're probably going to be when you're out. But I would say in general, just the fact that for you to escape Christianity requires a huge level of humility to say, I'm going to eat humble pie. I'm going to eat crow and say, holy smokes, I was so wrong. What else could I be wrong about? And I was so judgmental. Why? I shouldn't have been. When you have to humble yourself that far to say, I gave 40 years of my life to garbage. How stupid could I have been? It was right in front of me. It was obviously mythology. The dude walks on water. He heals blind people. And they even weave it into the blind man is the son of Bartimaeus. He's the son of Timaeus. Bartimaeus, the blind man. Timaeus. If you just done 3 minutes of research as who the hell is Timaeus, you would have been like, that was the old Bible. That was Plato. Plato's Timaeus was the old Bible. Like the son of Timaeus. They're just saying Jesus is like the new Plato. He's the better version. He's got the better philosophy. They didn't even make it hard. Jesus, after his resurrection, he was revealing his identity on the road to Emmaus. If you just done 5 minutes of research, who the hell is Emmaus, or what is it? What is Emmaus? Like that's the name of the guy in the Odyssey who was able to determine Odysseus' real identity by this, by the scars and by Odysseus revealing his identity to him. They're just copycatting from the Odyssey. It's like, oh, it was right there. It was right freaking there. And Jesus says, go to the disciples before the Last Supper, go find a man carrying a water pitcher and he'll help you find the upper room. It's like, oh my God, like how much more can we spell out astrotheology for you? It's right in front of you. A man carrying a water pitcher to take you to the upper room. It's like, come on, that's esoteric, Gnostic Christianity to a T, all woven into astrotheology, which the Neoplatonists and the Neo-Pythagoreans, if I can speak correctly, and the Essenes, that would have been their bread and butter. They would have known about that stuff from the time they were little kids. They know how to read the stars. That's just basic 101 stuff. I mean, it's just, they laid it on a silver platter for us. This was mythology. Jesus with a purple robe and a crown of thorns. again, the sun god, Helios, he wears a purple robe and has the crown of sun rays around his head. They made this so obvious that you had to be culturally removed from it to miss it. But because we were culturally removed from it, we did miss it. But yeah, that's all it is just we simply didn't know, and now we know it's mythology. But regardless of whether you know or not, if you're a nice person, you're a nice person, and if you're a jerk, you're going to still be a jerk most likely. I encourage you, by the way. I think this is probably implied in Mim's comment, but be a nice atheist. Yeah, have a goddamn conscience for goodness sake. I mean, you have to have some sense that your life is if you're gonna say my life has some meaning and purpose, I highly recommend it not be my life's meaning and purpose is to be right and to win every argument. My life's purpose is to beat everybody up. No, my life is to go into the darkness and shine the light. My life is to find the people that are weak and can't stand up and help them stand up, the people that are hungry and feed them, the people that are alone and to let them know they're not alone. My life has a purpose now. And in some ways it can come down to the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But however you say it, for goodness sake, be a nice atheist. I know the irony of saying for goodness sake, for God's sake, but for your own sake, for rationality's sake, be a nice atheist. Have a conscience. Care about people. There's a lot of people hurting. Shannon says, Tim, your heart has really been through the mill. Hence, Tim Mills. Yeah, I love the play on words here. Yeah, Tim through the mill. It's been a journey, and in many ways, I love though. I'll just say this real quick, Shannon, and move on because I do need to. I have to pick up my sweet Ellie girl who's 4 from her daycare I need to leave in about 20 minutes. But I'll just say, and then go into some other comments, that I've often thought to myself, would you have rather had an easy journey? And I will say that I really do suspect that if I had everything go the right way, right way in quotes, if it had been like, okay, God is clearly opening up the doors, and instead of being like slamming your face, no, he's opening up the doors and they stay open, and it's beautiful. The Lord gives to those he loves, and you're his beloved. He's watching out for you. He has a plan for your life, and if you give him the desires of your heart, he'll fulfill them. All that stuff. If that had happened and my life had been fairly easy-ish, at least to the sense of saying, that's a God thing. God did that. God took care of that. I could have seen myself being stuck in this stupid worldview for the rest of my life. I really could have. So to me, if I could go back and undo it all and still be a Christian, I'd say life, if I can anthropomorphize it that way, life, you break my heart as much as you want to, but get me out of this awful, hideous worldview. I'm glad I'm out. And I'm glad if that's what it took. I don't know if that's what it took, but if that's what it took, I'd rather have been heartbroken over and over and over to get where I'm at. I would come on for an interview, but if I do, because I'm in the movie industry, if you could not include my actual name and alter my voice and post meetings, I'll have to think about that. I did one before like that, and I felt like a lot of people sort of tore to shreds for some different aspects of it. I will definitely give it some thought, Eric. But thank you very much for that. I'll get back to you. See here, Piggy Watch, interesting handle and interesting photo there. Jesus saved my life out of addiction. Yes, I'm assuming you're being sarcastic. Not true there, but Christianity breaks your heart in many ways because it lies to you about your own power. It says you can't break yourself out of an addiction unless Jesus is there taking over and giving you the power of the Holy Spirit. It breaks your heart because it makes you into a wimp. It makes you into a passive person where you can't stand up for yourself and you can't fight. Your power is only the power of God. Any other power is your own fleshly power, and it's ultimately just a lose-lose situation. No, your own power is all you've ever had. It's all you're ever going to have, apart from the community support. Panda says, I just learned to blame myself for everything, and the Duggars pushed me further into it. Yeah, that's a really good point. You end up blaming yourself for everything. You think, and you really can't not think that, because really the goal is to get to a point where you say, I'm on fire for the Lord. Of course, I'm saved. I love the Lord. I love my salvation. I love so much the ways that He has saved me and rescued me, but He's also redeeming my life, redeeming my time, redeeming my mind. He is just He's giving me the joy and the fervor. My life, like, there's no better life than to live my life out of just saying, God, I'm so grateful for what you've done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When you realize where you were headed, to hell, and where you're now headed, to heaven, there's nothing that you should have in your heart except utter joy. And the fact that you were a slave to sin and that slavery is broken, you should have nothing but joy and rejoicing. And to say, you know what, my life isn't going so good sometimes. It hurts. Well, that's not God's fault. God's got nothing but joy for you. He's got truckloads of joy for you. You must have your eyes not on the Father. You must have your eyes off of God. And so you're to blame. And if you know, like the prodigal son with the father, the prodigal son's father just waiting there. He's lavishly ready to give you a party. If there's an issue, you walked away. So turn around. He's ready to accept you, but it's your fault. You're blamed. If you don't have joy, if you don't have fervor, if you feel far from God, it's like, it's not His fault. There's a verse that says, if I regard iniquity in my heart, the Lord will not hear me. And when you think to yourself, it feels like God's not talking to me, like I'm a loner. Well, you must have iniquity in your heart. I remember, I've said this before, so I won't belabor this point, but I had severe insomnia for 25 years. And the pastor of my church told me when I was growing up, the pastor of my church said, you must have sin in your life. God gives sleep to His beloved. There's a verse that says that. And I learned later that there's another way to translate that says, God gives to His beloved even while they're sleeping. Which means He's not saying I'm giving you sleep. He's saying I'm going to give to you. I'm going to bless you even while you're asleep. Kind of like, your bank is making interest for you. Even while you're sleeping, you're getting 5 cents on the dollar. But yeah, you end up blaming yourself for everything. I must have iniquity in my heart. I must be wrong. It's global solidarity. We discover our love of truth and truth of love. Yeah, well said. Very great way to summarize that. I saved myself out of addiction. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no one else is going to save you. If there's a savior, it's yourself. That's it. End of story. Now, we'll just add, anecdotally, my kids, in a sense, saved me. And I've told that story before, so I won't, again, say too much. But the fact that when you get to a point of raising children and you think to yourself for the first time, do I really want to tell them that there's a God who commands genocide, land theft, slavery, child bride, stoning, genital mutilation? Do I really want to teach them that that's a good thing? The fact that you have to address that and ask yourself, is this something I can really pass on? It's passive from their side, but the fact that they exist sort of make themselves into your savior, as it were, because you realize, I can't. I was okay telling myself that, but passing this on to children, and you realize they have no filter to say, is this truth or falsehood? Like, nah, I can't do that. So my kids were also part of my salvation. Philip Chandler, great to see you here. Just tuned in. Man, I could talk for hours on this topic. Well, Philip, I hadn't thought about this, but now that you said that, maybe this would be a good one for us to do as a repeating thing. The live streams, again, what I want to do is separate my live streams from my monologues. I'll certainly use some feedback I get from the live streams to weave into my monologue notes. But maybe this should be one of those ones that we return to every week or so, or every month. So no worries, for sure. Please feel free to jot down some notes, and when you're able to join in earlier, next time, please feel free to jump in and share some of your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. Shannon says, even basic Christianity strives to shut us down with shame, guilt, and the undermining of our feelings. Yeah, it really does. It's all about shutting you down, undermining your feelings, undermining your bodily feelings, your emotions. You should not feel a lack of joy. You should not feel sadness. You should not feel sexual urges. Just rank everything under the authority of God, and He'll take care of you. It's like it's all just a mind job. Ninja Skeptic says, thanks, Anne Marie. I'll be okay. I've been dealing with this for years now. Channels like Tim's is the only place I have to really be honest about these things. Well, I appreciate that. I certainly hope that other channels come into the equation. I will recommend, just a few off the top of my head, Brady Goodwin's Ichabod podcast is a great one. Durante Lamar there's probably some others that I should be coming up with, but there are some other channels that are doing some great work where you can be yourself and just talk about the hardships of your journey. But I do, to your point, I really do hope to increase the impact of this. Honestly, if I hadn't had the disruption that I've had in the last 4 to 6 weeks for the situation here at home, I would have had easily about 10 to 15 other live streams I would have done easily. I can't live stream with 4 small children. It's like romper room. 4 children 9 and under. They're wonderful, but unless I'm going to do it late at night, but I'm not a late night person. So, and also there's a lot of times when I could do it late at night and they'd still interrupt me. They'd be like, Daddy, I need you. I'm coughing. So I would still get interrupted. So, but yeah, having said that, I hope that this channel can eventually have a greater presence and a way for it to be safer. And I will just say, can I just read this to you real quick? I'm coming up with these are going to be more monologues, but just some topics. I mean, we're going to get into some serious stuff here soon, and we're already into stuff of it, but we're going to talk about, these are working titles, as it were, for some monologues, and maybe some will be live streams first just to get your feedback. But grief as a river, is a metaphor for how sorrow moves and changes, sometimes calm, sometimes like a torrent. Emotional triage, unholy detachment, sort of disengaging from beliefs that have caused psychological harm. Shadow integration, embracing the darker parts of yourself. Confronting the void, facing the emptiness that comes with the loss of faith. Trauma eclipse, when traumatic memories temporarily obscure your ability to see your life and your present clearly. Cognitive reframing. Again, these are just ideas I've come up with for titles for. I think we're going to talk about inner sanctum reclamation. I know it's a big one. Probably work on that title. But reclaiming your personal space where you feel safe. Radical acceptance. Spiritual vertigo. Just that disorientation when your belief system collapses. Emotional paralysis. Anxiety undertow. The wounds of obedience. Sacred disenchantment. Moral whiplash. Righteous rage. Divine silence. Tending to the ashes. Turning ghosts into echoes. Building a house from shattered glass, the whirlpool of doubt, silent rebellion, perpetual vigilance, spiritual hangover, just endless stuff. I'm realizing this is all about psychology. Healing from Christianity is a psychological event. And the more that you understand what they did to you, you'll understand the path of what you need to do to undo it. And we're going to talk through that for hopefully the next couple of years, and be available to anyone where that could help them. So I appreciate your being here. The journey continues. We are ascending or descending in the spiral. Yeah, it's a great way to put it. Why are you giving Jesus all the credit for your recovery when in fact it was your own strength that probably got you through addiction? Yeah, I agreed 100%. Jesus gave horrible lessons. Telling people to take abuse from their abusers had a serious impact on my life. Yeah, it really is. Progressive Christianity tries to salvage Jesus. He's unsalvageable. He's an unsalvageable savior. The love that we know and feel. Yeah. Celebrate everyone on their journey. Christianity exalts virginity, abstinence, suppression of sexuality. Yeah, Shannon, that's a big one. I'm working on some stuff for those topics too. But yeah, it's truly off the charts how much, when you think to yourself, I shouldn't be thinking that thought or feeling that feeling, how much it does to your psyche. See here. Yeah, you saved yourself. The belief that God would save you broke your mind out of the pattern of thinking that you couldn't get free of addiction, the community. Yeah. See here. Religion is a business incorporated to serve a purpose and raise money. Yeah. Jesus is the way. Okay, Piggy Watch, I'm sorry, but I am going to probably have to say goodbye to you. I'm going to bring that up one more time. Stop hating people. Jesus has nothing but help me to understand that I have issues, and he's worked with me. Again, Piggy Watch, we're going to say goodbye to your being on part of the channel here. We wish you well. We think you're completely wrong, but we wish you well. But this is a safe place for people who deconverted. Please don't come on channels like this and try to change the dynamic. We know what we want, and we want the truth, and we don't want that. So this is not the right place for you. There's got to be like 100,000 channels where your words will be very, very welcome. So anyway, let's see here. The most heartbreaking part for me is the reality that I spent 23 years believing in hell and Satan, and now the trauma of all of those beliefs around who I am makes me squirm that I believed any of it. That's a great point. Yeah. The fact that we believed it, that we were so susceptible and so gullible that we passed it on to people, it makes you embarrassed, it makes you ashamed, it makes you want to undo it, to make reparations. Very, very true. Very, very true. So, see here. Miss I, thank you so much for your super chat. So appreciate your support. It means the world to me right now. It really does. Am I still doing shorts on before and after Christianity? Yes, I am. Now YouTube, just so you know, YouTube had shorts set before as 1 minute max. So basically, cut it off at 59 seconds. You probably already know that they changed their shorts to be 3 minutes or less. So cut it off at 179 seconds or less. But if you can send me something, maybe through Facebook Messenger or some other way, if you want to do it through Dropbox, whatever you can. If you have a short and if you want to chat with me on Facebook first, again, I'm at Harmonic Tim, but chat with me first about what I'm looking for. I'll give you some suggestions. I did have someone do it before, and we went back and forth because I had some ways in which I said I think we can make it a lot better, and arguably, the outcome was a great message. Great message. I highly recommend you watch that from Susanna. She knocked it out of the park. She just did a great job. Susanna is awesome. But if you want to talk about it, I'll give you some suggestions before, so you don't have to go through multiple iterations. But you have 3 minutes, 3 minutes or less, and I would love to hear from you. Ninja Skeptic, I'm genuinely happy that you found a semblance of peace in God. It has had the opposite effect for most of us. This isn't really the platform. Yeah, agreed. Thank you, Shannon, so much. Yeah, I'm still working so much on the big project. It's breaks my heart that it's not done yet, but believe me, whenever I get the big project done, if you're not familiar with that, there's more coming. But I'm looking to put some stuff out there that people just be like, this is what we needed. And I so appreciate the YouTube channels where they go neck deep into the mythology for hours and hours at a time. I think we need another version of it where it's simplified. And what I'm working on is, of course, the videos to talk about it, but also the PowerPoints will be like Google Slides. So you can just pull it up as a website, but the Google Slides to have everything so you could share it with people. I'm working on that quite a bit. It's at this point, huge. I mean, it's unbelievable, the project, both in terms of the information that's going to be put into it, that's already in it, it's coming for it, but also the proofreading and editing to say, is this accurate, as accurate as I can get it? Yeah. Global solidarity. Hell was invented as an absence of belief or faith. Confession was created to heal the guilty to avoid more harm. Yeah, for sure. Yes, Emery, thanks so much. Sorry I didn't see your message earlier enough, but yeah, hopefully that person with the clown face, finds a good home for their comments. Carrie Ann, holding people accountable for harmful actions is called responsibility, and accountability is owning up to one's shortcomings, and redemption is making the changes necessary to ensure less harmful acts. Yeah, yeah, that's a great way to put it. I love that. Love that, Summer. Yeah, for sure. And we in many ways are trying to just call Christians to be accountable for what they preach and what they do. And of course, they want to not just not apologize for things and make things right, but they actually want to embarrass themselves and defend the horror of what they're doing. It's crazy. I've got about 5 more minutes here. I need to wrap up. Nicole says, it's so hard to break free from the indoctrination of religious and hell belief. Abuse is so much like breaking free from narcissistic abuse and Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, it is. Yeah, just that question we could keep going back to. Why was I in love with my captor? Why? It is. It's crazy. And how did I think this was a good worldview? This was the best news ever. It's good news. Like, no, it's not. It's not good news. It's also really weird. And I've got a monologue I'm working on. It's very unimportant. It's like I'll get to it when I get to it. But it's basically the idea of like Christianity isn't just wrong. It's not just mythology, but it's utterly boring. Like it's a really boring worldview. And I'm going to elaborate on what I mean by that. But yeah, it's just weird that we were stuck in it for so long. Peace on. Hey, Tim, hope everything's better. Thank you so much. Hoping for better days ahead for all of us. I was told my mom, who took her life, oh man, I'm so sorry. Took her life when I was 10, that she was in hell for her sins, and that I was born to a cursed family needing repentance at 10 years old after losing my mom. Wow. I don't even know what to say to do justice to the pain that you must have gone through as a child and you're still dealing with. I'm so sorry. If I can be of any help to you privately, please feel free to reach out. I'm at Harmonic Tim. Please let me know your handle if it's not obvious from the message. But if I can be of any help to you, please let me know. I'm so sorry. And I really hope you're getting some. I've gotten some professional help that can really dig deep into some of this stuff and make sure that you feel safe in your own skin, because that's some deep stuff. Wow. Yeah, there are a lot of narcissists in Christianity. I agree with that. I would say you can still be an atheist narcissist. But yeah, and I've seen some. I've had to deal with some of them in the past year on pretty advanced levels. But yeah, I think Christianity tends to breed narcissists because it's all about my personal salvation, my crown in heaven, my rewards. I'm a good and faithful servant. God is looking at me. It's so me. And when you deconvert, you're like, no, it's not about me. My life's brief, and I'll be gone. I'm just this little blip on the radar in the long story of humanity and of what comes after humanity, of this planet, of this universe. And it's like, it's not about me. It's not about my life. My life is small. All I'm trying to do is just love on people and help people and keep people safe while I'm here. But yeah, it's not all about me. It's not the Tim Show. This is definitely this life, my life. And this is going to actually echo some of the stuff we said in Christianity, but I want to waste my life for other people. I would have said before, I want to waste my life. I want to be wasted for Christ. I want Christ, as it were, like if he wants to send me to the hardest mission field where to get people saved, I simply need to forget about my health, forget about seeing my loved ones, just give up your whole life to give that tribe the word of God. Lose your life to save it. It's a paradox. I want to lose my life for the people around me. I want to spend my life helping free minds and help people feel loved. And that to me is the best life. It's like, it's my autonomy. People say, well, you don't have to. Agreed. I don't have to, but I want to. It's my power. My choice is to give my life away. And I want to do it for those around me. So Jesus said to worship him or face serious consequences. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he said the path to destruction is wide. Most people get there. I don't burn people I love and consider special, but that's just me. Yeah, agreed. Let's see here. Yeah, Christianity is very much based on fear, for sure. To think that someone else can do your redemption is irresponsible and weak character by shirking the responsibility. Yeah, the scapegoating issue, for sure. I'm going to pass my sins on to someone else, and I get to get a jail-free card. We should expect honesty and stop telling people what or who they are. Yeah. Life is a mirror. Religion is a two-way mirror. Yeah, I like that. All right. Again, I'm going to wrap up here in just a second. See if there's anything else. Yeah, Durante Lamar's got some great stuff. Highly recommend him. I did an interview with him. If you want to watch it, go look up his name on my channel. But otherwise, his work is great. His wife joins him some, and they're a great powerhouse of information and of support. So a lot of other people, Ichabod, Brady Goodwin's doing great work, and others. If you insist on trolling this channel, Piggy, why don't you just kick back and listen rather than try to convince your imaginary friends? Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised that some Christians just think that they can come in here and act like we're going to give them any kind of respect. Like we've done that. We did that for decades. Like you can't undo how much we've seen. It's like you're trying to be gaslighting us to be like, I know you claim you've seen the wizard behind the curtain, but it's not there. Like I can see the damn wizard right now. I can see him behind the curtain. Oz is not real. Ninja Skeptic, holy shit, I want my mind to be on my side. Yeah, it hits hard. These concepts hit so hard. I want my mind to be on my side. I want my body to be on my side. I really do. When you see it, you can't unsee it, for sure. I apologize. There were enough comments that came in that I'm reading them like well after I kind of like talked about a topic and then moved on, and then we're coming back to them. And again, I apologize. I'm going to have to sort of skip here. Ways to human. I think non-believers are nicer because they're not as judgmental, and our values are based on lowering harm. Yeah, that is a great way to put it. By the way, I just want to mention, this is AJ Ruley. I did just do an interview with her. It's up. It's the latest one on the channel on the non-live video side, just the regular uploads. She is just an amazing person. Please subscribe to her channel, Ways to Human. Great stuff. and appreciated so much her willingness to come on the channel and share her thoughts. So please check out her great work and check out that interview if you have time. Let's see here. Yeah, the Odyssey was for telling scripture. Yeah, they were certainly copycatting it. Offering your prayers to a non-believer is just rude. If you want to pray for them, do it in your own time quietly. Yeah, agreed. There's something very empowering in choosing your own purpose and meaning in life. Yeah, exactly. And also empowering to say, I don't know. I don't know. And if I don't decide on what the meaning and purpose of my life is, I'm okay just taking it a day at a time. Like you're allowed to do both. You're allowed to, because that's part of the angst of what Christians do is like, you have to have an answer. You have to. It's almost like they get in your face, like they're shaking you. Like, what's your answer? What's your answer? Quick, the timer. You know, that Jeopardy music playing. You got to give me an answer. What's the meaning of life? Like, calm it the fuck down. I don't have to have an answer. I don't know. I just know you're a liar, but I don't have to have an answer. Like, that's part of your continued equation and oppression. I don't have to have an answer for you. I don't know. I'll figure it out in my own time. But just, calm it the fuck down. I don't need to have an answer for you. I don't know what the meaning of life is. I just know that I'm here. It's amazing that, and who is it? What's his name? Abraham Piper. He did a great TikTok on that a while ago. That they do that to you. Please look him up and find it if you can. I'm sorry I don't have the link right in front of me, but Abraham Piper's TikTok channel, he has a video where he talks about this exact topic. Like, you don't have to have an answer to them. Well, why don't you believe? What do you believe? And how defend it? Like, no, I don't have to have this conversation. I'm allowed to just say, I don't know. And I don't have to answer you. I'm allowed to just move on with my life and have a great life. So I apologize. I do have to run. My little girl, Ellie, sweetheart. By the way, I did an interview with her as well. Fun little interview. Feel free to check that out. We did a fun little live stream interview the other day, and she's a sweetheart. Love her to the end of the earth, to the moon and back, as we say. But I have to go pick her up. But thank you so much to all of you for being part of this channel. Thank you so much for your encouragement. Thank you those of you who are spreading the word about my needs. I did put out some updates. I haven't seen if anyone has been able to respond to that yet, but I'm going to check and see if there's been any responses to my pleas for help. But I'll be checking that later today as soon as I've got a minute. But, I don't know what all options people have, but if you can spread the word that I'm in tremendous need, both in terms of some short-term litigation stuff that's coming like right now, and also some stuff that'll be coming over the next 2 or 3 months. The needs are great. It's going to escalate most likely to a point that it's going to be like a tsunami of needs. And I'm trying my best to protect my kids. It's just crazy. The kids deserve to be safe in their home. They deserve to be safe in their own skin. They deserve to not think someone's going to beat the shit out of them. And my kids see that. It's awesome to see at this early age. My kids can clearly see the difference between what is safety and what is not. And so I'm on that journey. I'm going to try my best to be loving people. I do see, real quick, one last comment. Another super chat came in. I missed. I apologize. Mikey Two Hearted, if I'm reading that correctly, newer to the channel. Thanks for all your work. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your support. It means the world to me. It really does. And thank you so much. And please do, again, accept my apologies in advance for the times that I'm going to be quiet. It is not for lack of trying. There's ways in which I'm going to be ping-ponging back and forth between like, I'm all in on this, and then I'm like, I've got my kids, and the priorities are split very much. But I love this community, and I intend to do some pretty intense stuff that I think is going to just really help a lot of people. And it's not about me trying to be clever or anything. It's just like there's ways we can help each other. There's ways we can support each other. And I want to equip us and give us the tools, both in terms of the mythology, but also the psychology. The more that we can equip each other, the more we can build each other up, the more we've got a chance of having a groundswell of change, being better people for when the people after us also escape, that we can help them more instead of being focused on ourselves, saying, I'm here to just equip you and help you. I've been through it. I know what you're going through. To get our eyes off of ourselves, to be a help to the community, and also just to be as whole as we can to reclaim our identities and to truly love ourselves. Like I started with that quote, when you love yourself, you find yourself. And again, I'll look up who said that, but I think it's true. Whoever said it, when you love yourself, you find yourself. And there's a lot of people that need to find themselves for the first time, and we can help them. We can help them to heal. We can help them to be strong and not feel alone. So thank you so much for your support. Again, I love you all. I'll be back as soon as I can. And thank you so much for your help. And again, please do check out the video from the interview from AJ Ruley. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.